The fluorescent lights of the elementary school gym buzzed faintly above, casting their pale glow over a floor still damp from a recent mop. The janitor leaned against his cart, rolling his aching shoulders as he looked around the empty room. For most, it was just a school gym, polished hardwood floors, scuffed lines from basketball games, a banner or two peeling at the edges. But for Daniel, this was his sanctuary. It was where his life slowed down, where he found a strange kind of peace after long hours of sweeping, scrubbing, and picking up after other people's messes. Daniel Parker wasn't ashamed of his work. He couldn't afford to be. A single father raising an 8-year-old boy, he had no space for pride, only responsibility. Every night, when he tucked little Jamie into bed in their small, one-bedroom apartment, Daniel reminded himself that this grind, the sore hands, the sweat on his back, the extra weekend shifts, wasn't for him. It was for his son. For Jamie's school supplies. For rent. For the hope of something better one day. But tonight was different. The gym wasn't empty. It was alive with music. Fairy lights hung across the ceiling beams, twinkling in soft yellows and blues. Balloons bobbed in clusters by the bleachers. Teachers and parents bustled around, guiding children in suits and dresses to their seats. A live band strummed cheerful notes, filling the air with laughter and rhythm. It was the annual school dance, a night the kids had looked forward to for weeks. For Daniel, it meant staying late to clean up when it was all over. He had grown used to being invisible, pushing his mop while everyone else lived their lives, dressed in fine clothes he could never afford. Tonight would have been the same, until he heard a soft voice. "Excuse me, sir, would you dance with me?" Daniel froze. He turned slowly, unsure he'd heard right. There she was, Emma. A little girl with golden brown hair tied neatly in ribbons, sitting in a wheelchair decorated with pink flowers. Her dress was pale lavender, her shoes polished, though one foot tilted awkwardly at the angle of her condition. Her eyes, though, sparkled with hope, wide and sincere as she looked up at him. Daniel blinked, then glanced around, certain she meant someone else. But no, her small hands gripped the armrest of her chair as if holding on to courage itself. "Me?" he asked softly, pointing to his chest, his voice almost trembling. "Yes," she said, smiling shyly. No one's asked me yet. And I thought maybe you would." The weight of her words landed like a stone in his chest. For a moment, Daniel felt the sting of tears press at his eyes. He looked down at his uniform, faded blue shirt, work gloves stuffed into his back pocket, shoes stained with polish. He didn't belong here, not among the shining shoes and flowing gowns. Yet, this little girl wasn't looking at him with judgment. She wasn't looking past him, the way so many others did. She was looking at him like he mattered. Daniel knelt beside her chair, lowering himself to her level. "Miss Emma," he said gently, "it would be an honor." Her smile widened into something radiant, and in that instant, Daniel felt the whole gym disappear. He pushed her wheelchair gently onto the dance floor, where the music was softer now, a slow melody wrapping around them. Other parents and children looked on, some whispering, some smiling, others simply stunned at the sight of the school janitor, in his plain uniform, dancing with a disabled child like she was the princess of the night. But Daniel didn't notice them. He only saw Emma. He twirled her wheelchair as though it were the most natural waltz, stepping in rhythm with her laughter. She clapped her hands, giggling as he bowed dramatically after a spin. For those few minutes, she wasn't the girl in a wheelchair, and he wasn't the janitor. She was a little girl at her first dance, and he was her chosen partner. Unbeknownst to Daniel, someone was watching closely. From the corner of the gym, a woman stood frozen in place, her eyes locked on the scene unfolding. Tall, graceful, dressed in a tailored evening gown, she looked every bit the picture of elegance and authority. Most of the parents recognized her instantly, Victoria Hayes, the billionaire philanthropist and CEO whose name adorned half the city's hospitals and schools. Few knew she was also Emma's mother. And in that moment, Victoria's heart clenched. For months, she had worried that her daughter would feel invisible, overlooked because of her disability. Too often, she had seen other children hesitate, unsure, or avoidant when Emma tried to join in. Victoria, with all her wealth and power, could not buy the one thing her daughter longed for: to be seen, to be chosen, to belong. Yet here was a man she had never noticed before, wearing a janitor's uniform, hair messy from work, hands calloused, and he was treating her daughter like royalty. Not out of pity. Not for attention. Just genuine kindness. Victoria felt her throat tighten. And for the first time in years, the billionaire mother fought back tears in public. After the song ended, Daniel bowed once more, and Emma clapped with delight. "Thank you," she whispered. "No," Daniel said softly, smiling at her. "Thank you. You made me feel like the luckiest man here tonight." It was only when he started wheeling her back toward her group of classmates that Victoria stepped forward. "Excuse me," she said, her voice calm but commanding. Daniel turned, startled, almost afraid he had done something wrong. His stomach twisted nervously as he recognized her face from news articles and television. This was someone far above his world. He shifted uncomfortably, lowering his eyes, already expecting criticism for stepping out of line. But Victoria's gaze softened. She knelt down beside her daughter first, tucking a strand of hair behind Emma's ear. "Sweetheart, you were beautiful out there," she said warmly. "Mom." Emma beamed. "He danced with me. He made it so fun." "I saw," Victoria whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. Then she rose and turned to Daniel. For a long moment, they simply looked at one another. Daniel, unsure of what to say, rubbed the back of his neck. "Ma'am, I hope it was okay. She asked me, and I didn't want her to feel left out." Victoria's lips trembled before she managed to smile. "You didn't just dance with my daughter. You gave her something priceless tonight. Do you know how many times she's sat in that chair and watched life pass her by? And yet you saw her." Daniel swallowed hard, words failing him. "Tell me," Victoria continued softly, "what's your name?" "Daniel." "Daniel Parker," he said. I just work here. I'm nobody important." Victoria shook her head firmly. "Don't ever say that again. Tonight, you were the most important person in this room." What Daniel couldn't know was how that single act of kindness would ripple through his life. Over the next weeks, Victoria sought him out, at first to thank him again, then to learn about him. She discovered the single father who worked 2 jobs, who carried the weight of his son's future on his shoulders, who never complained, who gave all he had, not for recognition, but for love. And slowly, something unexpected blossomed. Respect. Admiration. Even friendship. Emma began to ask for Daniel at school, eager to show him her drawings, her new books, her dreams. Victoria found herself listening more, softening, seeing the world not from boardrooms and balance sheets, but through the eyes of a man who valued people over profit. One night, as she tucked Emma into bed, her daughter whispered, "Mom, when I grow up, I want to be like him. I want to make people feel special the way he does." Victoria's heart swelled. She realized then that wealth wasn't measured in dollars, but in the moments of humanity that money could never buy. And Daniel, though he never sought it, became part of a story that would change his life. Because sometimes, the smallest dance can become the greatest turning point. In the end, the message was clear. Kindness has no uniform. Compassion doesn't check bank accounts. Humanity shines brightest when we choose to see each other, not for status, not for what we can gain, but simply for who we are. And that night, under the gym's twinkling lights, a janitor and a little girl proved that one simple dance could move not just hearts, but entire lives.